It goes down smoother.
Now it's time for Toker Talk Radio, the voice of the marijuana nation.
What are you people? On dope?
Where you can toke.
I inhaled frequently.
Or you can talk.
I experimented with marijuana and didn't inhale.
Or you can toke and talk.
10 federal criminal penalties for possession of up to 1 ounce of marijuana.
While we talk about toke on Toker Talk Radio.
So, by the way, when it comes to pot, you know, if you're 40 years old, you live in a log cabin in Oregon, you got 12 giant pot plants in your backyard, have a ball.
Live from beautiful Portland, Oregon at Rolla J Studios.
Hey, this is great.
Yes, not cannabis.
Plus your calls live at 971-533-7111.
They're walking on their pants with their cap on backwards, listening to Enema Man and Snoopy Poop Dog.
What's to keep somebody from getting all potted up on weed and then getting behind the wheel? Gateway theory doesn't work. It's a reality.
Holland, is it real? Don't tease me.
We're locking up people that take a couple of puffs of marijuana, and the next thing you know, they got 10 years.
And now, here's your host, the guru of ganja graphics, the sultan of sativa statistics, and the worst nightmare of a reefer mad prohibitionist. A polite, perspicacious, productive pothead with a propensity for PowerPoint. Radical Russ Belville.
Good day, tokers and tokettes and non-toking lovers of liberty. It's 4:02 in the Pacific time zone. Time for Toker Talk Radio. We're going to continue on with the rant from hour one on marijuana apartheid. Also on the show today, we're going to discuss a little bit about the history of Billie Holiday and Harry J. Anslinger. Some amazing news there. And sadly, if you missed the first hour, we announced the unfortunate passing of Alan Clayton Carruthers, age 50, passed away on Monday, and he was instrumental in the movement there in Waco, Texas. A friend of our friend Cliff Duvall, and a Republican, kind of a conservative guy who brought a kind of gravitas and seriousness to this issue in Texas, where a lot of people, you know, just figure it's just the hippies in Austin that are all for marijuana. But Alan, you know, brought a very straight-laced conservative Republican look that really helped the activism for all those folks in Central Texas at Normal of Waco. Alan's memorial service will be Saturday at the Calvary Baptist Church in Waco, Texas, and they are saying in lieu of flowers, make memorials to the World Hunger Farm, the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, and Normal of Waco, Inc. Wow. Somebody who's even in their dying wish is doing something for marijuana legalization. That's just an amazing, amazing legacy. Our condolences go out to the family and friends of Alan Carruthers, to our friend Cliff Duvall, who's hurting because of the loss of his colleague and friend, and all of us who feel like we've lost someone anytime somebody who's a freedom fighter like Alan passes away. I've posted the link to the Lakeshore Funeral Home. They've got a condolences page where you can offer your message to the family and friends. And we will never forget here at 420 Radio and the Russ Belville Show, you've joined our VIP RIP credits, and will shortly be up on the website. Got to meet Alan a couple of times, I believe, at least twice, in the various events that I've done in Texas, and he will be missed. All right, let me get back to the rant here, because I'm in the minority here as far as Oregon activists go. At least I think I am. And maybe that's just because the activist groups I'm in seem to be dominated by medical marijuana activists. But it's interesting to me how so many people on the medical marijuana side for years and years and years and years have said, no, we're for full legalization. We want full legalization. We want full legalization, but the patients come first. The patients come first. We got to think of the patients. And that was fine That was fine when we were in the 90s and there wasn't a snowball's chance in hell in passing legalization. That was fine in the 2000s when we were living through Bush the Dumber and there was no chance for legalization. But we're halfway through 2010s now. Legalization exists in 4 states. Nationwide, there is support for the legalization of marijuana. There's no reason now to fear the negative perception and stigma of marijuana smoking. And there's no reason now to segregate patients for their own protection. Someone in the chat room mentioned that Colorado has this problem as well, but they've got multi-use stores. They literally have a building where patients have to come in one door, the whites only door, and healthy people have to come in the other door, the coloreds only door. They have to go to their own separate counters, the whites lunch counter and the coloreds lunch counter, and they have to order completely separate cheeseburgers. That ground beef is only for the whites and can only be made into whites cheeseburgers, and that ground beef over there is only for the coloreds, and that can only be used for the coloreds cheeseburgers. Hell, that's more offensive than the idea of having 2 separate buildings to me. To me, that shows, hey, we've got one building where pot is sold, but we're maintaining this fiction that we need to treat its users differently based on their physical characteristics. If we were having buildings with separate entrances for men and women, gay or straight, black or white, Republican or Democrat, Christian or Jew, if we had any of those segregations going on in the sales of marijuana, Al Sharpton would be flown in the very next day. MSNBC would be doing a week-long special on it. But when it comes down to separating people based on the fact whether or not they paid protection money to the state for a special little card based on a permission slip they got from a doctor, then it's all fine. Segregation's all good. Separate but equal is the law of the land.
Don't touch that dial. We're right back to Radical Russ in just a few minutes. Hey, does anybody really have a dial anymore? You're listening to The Russ Belville Show.
I really think a lot of people on the medical side have lost track of the civil rights part of this. I really think that they can't even understand. They've had their special protected status for so long. They can't understand the offensive nature of the dismissal of us non-medical users as being some sort of addicts and engaging in some selfish and indulgence. I'm not going to take being discriminated against anymore, and I hope you won't either. I'll be right back. .420 Radio, the activist radio station.
Sir, do you think there will or should come a time for us to discuss the possibility of legalization, regulation, and control of all drugs, thereby doing away with the violent criminal market as well as a major source of funding for international terrorism? Thank you so much for your time, Mr. President.
Well, I think this is an entirely legitimate topic for debate.
Name the time and place, Mr. President. Radical Russ has been prepping for this debate full-time since 2005. The Russ Belville Show.
I like it like that.
Well, I don't know what you came to do, but what we came to keep the funk alive.
That's right, baby. We're keeping the funk alive right here at Big Daddy Fink's Funky Roller Ring, your groovy home of soul, funk, and disco. So join me, Big Daddy, every Thursday night at 11 Eastern, 8 Pacific at the Funky Roller Ring, where every night is Saturday night.
This is Radical Russ encouraging you to take a look at the Weed Blog every day. Johnny Green and the staff at the Weed Blog are on top of all the latest developments in the fight to end marijuana prohibition nationwide. You can even get the Weed Blog on your smartphone by installing the Weed Blog app for iPhone and Android. If it's about weed, it's on the Weed Blog, including my original writing. So don't delay. Read the Weed Blog today.
They call him Flipper, Flipper, faster than lightning. No one you see is smarter than he. And we know Flipper lives in a world full of wonder. Like there
Check this out. Hey yo, what's up? Yeah, what's happening? It be the Dirtball here, happy to be here. Thanks for picking up the record. No problem, man. Alright, yo. Yeah, we gon' keep it like this. Now. You know what I'm saying? Alright, big bass to the ear hole. We gon' let it loose like this. Check it out. You wanna know the D-ball? Oh,
Welcome back, everyone. 11 after the hour. That's music from the Dirtball with Hello Myself and a little bit of Flipper along with that. Checking you up on the chat room. Cultivator makes the point that the Colorado situation is because of the different tax rates. They got to have different registers, different cash registers, because they tax. They have retail and excise tax on the recreational side, but not on the medical side. That's not going to be a similar problem in Oregon, though. In Oregon, the recreational tax is going to happen at the grow site. So all the weed that will be in the store will have already been taxed. And my proposal is let the medical marijuana card just be a tax rebate card, like a coupon. Easy enough to track that. Easy enough to figure out that. Take that off the books and get it all figured out. No, every little reason I keep getting back from people on this, to me, is just, oh, well, there's something that we'll have to incentivize or fix in the one pot shop, in the all-in-one pot shop. Like there's this concern that, well, right now in the medical marijuana shops, these kind, altruistic shop owners and the growers that are merely providing medicine from the kindness of their heart and their compassion are going to provide high CBD strains and tinctures and lotions and transdermal patches and items that the medical consumers really need. And if we open it up to just being all pot shops, why, they'll switch all their inventory to just that stuff that gets people high. Just that pot smoker stuff. And that rings completely hollow to me, because I'm shopping in those dispensaries now. I am shopping now at those places that are medical only, just for medical consumers that supposedly are only providing medical marijuana. And guess what I find? Like I mentioned, 50 jars of get you fucked up marijuana, 2 of them CBD only. And I saw patches for sale, and I saw tinctures for sale, and I saw all sorts of things for sale. But nobody can convince me that the 4 dispensaries from me west to the river, or the 3 east to the freeway, the 7 that I know of on Sandy Boulevard, you cannot convince me all 7 of them are in business simply to handle the medical needs of the truly sick and disabled. Clearly, recreational use, personal use, is supporting this massive market. I don't see how that changes as we open that market up. If indeed there's this niche of 10, 20, 30,000 medical marijuana patients that desperately need specific medical things that a pot smoker like me would never buy, if that niche market really exists, then a Measure 91 retailer will fashion themselves as a medical-only store, and they'll attract those customers, and they'll make money. Now, the one argument, the idea that medical marijuana dispensaries can't be banned, but pot shops can, to me, just argues even more for integrating all of them. Right now, That status quo, that argument, is saying to me that the people will want to discriminate against potheads, so we should let them. The people will discriminate against potheads, but they can't discriminate against the sick. So let's keep things just the way they are. I would argue putting it all in one system means for once the patients would be standing up for legalization instead of what's been the case for the past 16 years, recreational users having to sit in the back of the bus, having to give up and sacrifice and fight for medical users, even when it didn't benefit them. About time we got some payback. And to me, if you put all marijuana sales have to be conducted through a pot shop, medical or recreational, all have to come from a pot shop, you're then forcing some Eastern Oregon community to ban the store where Granny gets her cancer medicine. Oh, sure, Bob and Joe and Jim, they get their pot to get high there too. But do you really want to throw the baby out with the bathwater? Do you really want to see Mrs. Jones suffer with cancer just because Bob, Joe, and Jim get high? For once, we'd be using that moral relativism that, well, we hate pot, but we hate suffering from cancer worse. Remember that we used back in the 90s to convince people who hated pot that there was a better moral decision to be made? Well, you don't want to let the cancer patients suffer, do you? It's time to use that again, but this time in favor of legalization. You don't want to ban the pot shop, do you? That's the only place the cancer patient can get her medicine. If we keep a separate pot shop, we free them from ever having to face that moral dilemma. We give them an out. Just as if we had let Alabama continue to have whites-only schools. They never would have had to face the turmoil and tension of integrating their schools and recognizing that all people are created equal and deserve an education. And if we keep separate pot shops and dispensaries, we never force those Eastern Oregonians to confront the fact that all Oregonians deserve equal access to marijuana. And we shouldn't be discriminating against people that aren't sick. To me, what this comes down to is not so much the patients as it is the people who like the no-hassle grow system, the easy profit, the no taxes, the power from being banned, and the fig leaf of moral superiority that they're somehow not just pot dealers, we're helping patients. That's what this comes down to. And I'm not going to let it. Hi in Hawaii in our chat room said, well, we can't ever say nothing because then it'll be the patients scream bloody murder. It'll be medical versus recreational. I'll take that fight any day. There's 4 of us for every one of them. And I don't allow any medical proponents to play moral games with me of, don't you care about the sick and dying? Don't you care about the patients? When my people, the recreational users, are the ones whose kids get holes blown into them by flashbang grenades. They're not sending the no-knock raids after the medical marijuana patients so much anymore. It's us, the recreational users, whose dogs are getting shot, whose kids are getting blown up, whose houses are getting taken, whose cars are stolen, whose cash is seized, whose lives are wrecked when they're put into a jail cell. We're the ones unable to get jobs from our criminal convictions that the medical marijuana patients have been protected from for 16 years. And the other part of this, not every medical marijuana patient has or wants a medical marijuana card. Some of them can't qualify for their particular conditions. Others are too poor to afford a card. Still others don't want to give up their privacy and admit on a state database that they're breaking federal laws. What about those patients? Let's fight for equal access for all marijuana consumers. I promise you, in the long term, it will provide the best results for the patients and for the recreational side.
You're really clouding the energy in this room right now.
Okay, you got me. I don't mean to be cloudy. When we come back, we've got a word from President Obama on marijuana legalization. But before that, Groovin' Thursday with Chuck Diesel, one of my favorite tunes from the Ghetto Boys. You're bringing me back to the day on this one. Stay tuned. Groovin' Thursday's next. .420 Radio, the home of marijuana experts. The International Cannabis Business Conference is coming to the Hyatt Regency Hotel in San Francisco, California, February 15th and 16th, 2015. Don't miss this exclusive opportunity to hear from the experts on the future of marijuana commerce, including scientists like Dr. Carl Hart, Dr. Amanda Ryman, and Dr. Stanton Peel, policy experts like Ethan Nadelman from Drug Policy Alliance, Anthony Johnson from Oregon's Legalization Campaign, travel author Rick Steves from Washington's Legalization Campaign, and California legalization pioneer Dale Sky Jones. Business experts like Harborside Steve D'Angelo, ArcView Group's Troy Dayton, and UFCW union leader Dan Rush. Cannabis journalists like Ricardo Baca, Steve Bloom, and Doug Fine, and California Republican Congressman Dana Rohrabacher, plus many, many more. Tickets are on sale now at internationalcbc.com, but hurry, last year's conference in Portland, Oregon was a sellout. International Cannabis Business Conference, San Francisco, California, February 15th and 16th, International CBC. Get.Buzz. .Buzz is the internet platform that fuels community interest, excitement, and new experiences. .Buzz is the premier online destination for internet users seeking the latest news on a variety of topics. .Buzz appeals to groups active in blogging, communications, journalism, advertising, and marketing. .Buzz offers registrants a stronger alternative to the shrinking namespace of existing top-level domain names, such as .com, .net, and .org. Get your name now at get.buzz.
Everyone knows music and marijuana go together, so let's wind up our 20 after break with the Russ Belville Show's Daily Toker Tunes, the best in pod-safe 420 music from around the web. Today is Groovin' Thursday, featuring rap, hip-hop, soul, and funk music. Now, sit back and enjoy your Daily Toker Tune.
Welcome back, everyone. 23 after the hour. It's Groovin' Thursday time for our Daily Toker Tunes 420 break. I hope you've had something relaxing. I know I need something relaxing. Joining us for the show, we've got our own Chuck Diesel. How you doing, Chuck?
Doing great, Russ. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I'm getting by, trying to legalize, you know.
Yep. Oh, man, and you are batting at the old hornet's nest of, it's funny because I almost want to call them conservative marijuana activists, because that's kind of what they are. It's like they're just for the status quo of, we've had this system, it's worked for us, it's enabled us to get, for the people who are truly needy, in medicinal terms, it's allowed them to get medicine at a low price. But the streamlining of the industry just seems inevitable at this point.
Yeah, I mean, there's a point where you've got to look at, how much is the status quo, though, going to prevent the new recreational side from unfurling? And my argument is that the more incentivization you provide to cheat the medical marijuana program, the worse it's going to be for both sides. They'll tighten the medical marijuana program and the recreational program. Yeah,
the way it's played out in Colorado, I think, is about as good as you can ask for, as far as it seems like the free market, honestly, to sound a little conservative, the free market sounds like it kind of sorts that out there, just because there's no, once the prices kind of come down on the recreational side, there's really no reason to have a medical card there.
Yeah.
Unless you're, you know, one of the few people who are buying in bulk and it's all for you, and, you know, that's kind of a unique situation. But.
Yeah. And, you know, I think it'll be interesting to see when we get the first state that goes straight to recreational. You know, like a Missouri, maybe. Like a Missouri that jumps straight to recreational, doesn't do medical in between, and see how that unfurl.
Yeah, that'll be interesting, and how people's medical needs are met or not met, because we've all in the Northwest, we've all started with medical, so things like FECO or RSO and things like that are just kind of built in. But I wonder how fast those products will come to market when there's just recreational. I think there'll still be people, I know there'll still be people who step up to supply the demand.
All right, well, let's get into some music for the day. You got a Groovin' Thursday song today that makes me remember the movie Office Space. Tell us about it.
Yep, you got it. No, we got the Ghetto Boys from Houston. They're just classic. I think the Office Space is the first place I heard them, honestly, too, just as a young kid. And that song was just so iconic for me. It just felt good today. It's kind of a feel-good song. Damn, it feels good to be a gangster, you know?
Yeah.
Damn, it feels good to be a toker could also go in there.
All right. So let's get to it. Light 'em if you got 'em. It's our 420 break song for the day. Ghetto Boys, Damn, It Feels Good to Be a Gangster.
It feels good to be a gangster. A real gangster ass nigga plays his cards right. A real gangster ass nigga never runs his fucking mouth, cause real gangster ass niggas don't start fights. And niggas always got a high cap, showing all his boys how he shot him. But real gangster ass niggas don't flex nuts, cause real gangster ass niggas know they got him. And everything's cool in the mind of a gangster, cause gangster ass niggas think deep. Up 365, ayo, 24/7, cause real gangsta ass niggas don't sleep. And all I gotta say to you, gonna be cocksucker pussy pranksters, is when the fire dies down, what the fuck you gonna do? Damn, it feels good to be a gangster.
Feels good to be a gangster, feeding the poor and helping out with their bills. Although I was born in Jamaica, now I'm in the US making deals. Damn, it feels good to be a gangster. I mean one that you don't really know. Riding around town in a drop-top Benz, hitting switches in my black 6'4". Now gangsta ass niggas come in all shapes and colors. Some got killed in the past, but this gangster here was a smart one. Started living for the Lord and I last. Now all I gotta say to you, wanna be, gonna be pussy and cocksucking pranksters. When the shit jumps off, what the fuck you gonna do? Damn, it feels good to be a gangster.
Feels good to be a gangster. A real gangster ass nigga knows the play. The real gangster ass niggas get the flies of the bitches. Ask that gangster ass nigga little shit. The bitches look at gangster ass niggas like a stop sign and play the role of Little Miss Sweet. But catch the bitch all alone, get the digits, take her out and end up hitting her ass with the meat. Cause gangster ass niggas be the game players, and everything's quiet in the clique. A gangsta ass nigga pulls the trigger and his partners in the posse ain't telling off shit. Real gangsta ass niggas don't talk much. All you hear is the black from the gun blast. And real gangsta ass niggas don't run for shit. Cause real gangsta ass niggas can't run fast. Now when you in the free world talking shit, you the shit. Hit the pin and let a motherfucker shank you. But niggas like myself kick back and keep game. Cause damn, it feels good to be a gangster.
420 Radio, fighting prohibition since 2012. Growing plants indoors can be a rewarding hobby, but electricity bills can go through the roof. Then you have to cool down all those big hot lights. It can drive a grower insane. With Lush LED lighting, you can solve many of these issues and double your rewards. Matt and his scientists have developed the perfect light for flowering plants with far less cost and heat. And the results? Very effective. Check out LushLEDlighting.com right now and tell them Radical Russ sent you.
Funky roller ring.
Oh yeah.
What's happening, Groovy Cats? This is your Funk Master of Ceremonies, Big Daddy. And I want you to join me every Thursday night at 11 Eastern, 8 Pacific, right here at the Funky Roller Ring.
Oh yeah.
Your home of soul, funk, and disco, baby.
Funky-licious.
There's always a party at the Funky Roller Ring.
The law offices of Omar Figueroa would like to remind you to stand up for your rights. If you are detained or arrested, treat law enforcement with respect and stand up for your rights by repeating, "I respectfully invoke all of my legal and constitutional rights. I do not consent to any search and seizure. I want to remain silent, and I want to speak with my attorney." Please contact the law offices of Omar Figueroa at 415-489-0420 or 707-829-0215 or on the web at omarfigueroa.com. Welcome back, everybody. Music from the Dramatics. That's In the Rain. And we'll switch over here to YouTube. President Obama had a YouTube interview today, and one of our listeners in the chat room got wind of this and found the link for me, the exact moment when the president discusses marijuana. Let's listen in, President Barack Obama.
Constantly looking for ways to accelerate.
Sometimes people think I do, but I don't smoke pot. And it just is not for me. I think that it's bad for my brain. I'm not into it, but people think I do smoke pot because I'm in favor of legalizing marijuana. And we're in a really weird place with marijuana right now. Like it's illegal in some places, but it's illegal everywhere, but in some places it's kind of okay. But if the state thinks it's not okay, then let's throw those people in jail. I feel like it leads to excessive incarceration, especially among minorities. And in places where it's been legalized, everything's doing okay.
Yeah.
How do we move forward out of this legal gray area weirdness?
Well, what you're seeing now is Colorado, Washington, through state referendum, they're experimenting with legal marijuana. The position of my administration has been that we still have federal laws that classify marijuana as an illegal substance, but we're not going to spend a lot of resources trying to turn back decisions that have been made at the state level on this issue. My suspicion is that you're going to see other states start looking at this. What I am doing at the federal level is asking my Department of Justice just to examine generally how we are treating nonviolent drug offenders, because I think you're right. What we have done is, instead of focusing on treatment, the same way we focused, say, with tobacco or drunk driving or other problems where we treat it as a public health problem, we've treated this exclusively as a criminal problem. And I think that it's been counterproductive, and it's been devastating in a lot of minority communities.
Let me just pause that for a second, because I want to make a comment on some of the ways he's phrasing things. Notice how he used the word exclusively there. We focused on drug offenders as exclusively a criminal justice problem. Now, if you think about the logic behind that, it kind of leaves open the idea that we can still treat it as a criminal problem, but maybe not so much. This is that kinder, gentler drug war idea, right? Someone who uses marijuana is still an offender in some way. They're doing something offensive in some way. But we don't need to throw them in prison. We can just give them a fine and suspend their driver's license and force them to go to a rehab they don't need and test their piss and then threaten them with jail if they fail. That's why I have this problem. And of course, I'm going to see this in a much more visionary way than the president is going to have the chance or opportunity to do so. But it's this continuation of this idea that the use of marijuana per se is a bad thing that must be discouraged through the force of law. That's what underlies what he was just saying there. Well, we let some of these other states experiment with it, and we're not going to spend our resources to try to roll back what the states are doing. But the unsaid thing there is it needs to remain illegal. It's got to remain illegal because using marijuana in and of itself is a bad thing that must be prevented at all possible costs, or at least some possible costs. That's the underlying philosophy there. And as you've heard me say many times, all use is none ya. This is a civil rights issue. It's not about the marijuana. It's not about the marijuana at all. It's about the concept of whether or not our fellow citizens in the form of government can force us to do or not do certain things with our own bodies and the plants nature provides. It's a questioning of the very authority to be able to make that decision for someone else. Now, on the left, you've got people that would be very, very pro-life. Or I'm sorry, pro-choice, I should say. And I believe President Obama is one of those people, right? Very pro-choice. What right do we have to force a woman to give birth against her will, to continue to maintain a pregnancy she does not want? My body, my choice. People on the left have no problem understanding the civil rights of that. Even in the face of some of the less than wonderful examples of abortion rights. Even in the face of a woman, let's say, has gotten 5 abortions in her lifetime, never decided to go on the pill, just went and got abortions as a form of birth control. Even in the face of abuse of the concept, you got people on the left who will steadfastly stick to the idea that a woman's body, it's her choice, it's a natural right that should not be denied. And on the right, you've got people who will make that passionate argument about guns. That we have the natural right to defend ourselves. No government has the right to tell us what we can do with our natural, constitutionally protected right to bear arms. And they'll defend that like crazy. Unless you're a pot smoker, and then you don't get that right anymore because you're a drug user and the laws say you can't have it. So when I talk about marijuana and I get into these subjects of whether or not there ought to be 2 regulatory systems for marijuana and 2 different shops and all that, do understand that I'm taking a meta view of this. I'm taking a long view on this, and I'm taking a moral view on this. I understand that politics is sausage making. I'm well aware of the fact that it's highly likely at the end of the legislative session we will have pot shops that are run by the Oregon Liquor Control Commission, and we will have dispensaries run by the Oregon Health Authority. I'm pretty sure that's what's going to happen here, right? I know that we'll have the health authority running medical marijuana facilities that cannot be banned by localities that are distributing untaxed weed grown by unlicensed growers who sometimes run 104 patient farms for Californians. And that's going to be running alongside a system of pot shops run by the Liquor Commission distributing taxed weed grown by licensed growers who must follow regulations. Who doesn't think there'll be a great price disparity in that scenario? Who doesn't think the medical weed will be cheaper? Who thinks that the weed will be the same price? I'm telling you what'll happen. You'll have these medical shops that'll have cheaper weed than the recreational shops. And we'll see just what we saw happen in Seattle. We'll see the medical shops do great business, continue to do great business, and we'll see the recreational shops being frequented by, the first timers, the thrill seekers who want that first legal receipt, the tourists who come in. But your day-to-day purchases of marijuana, they're still going to come through the dispensaries. I know that what's probably going to happen is that the 7 dispensaries on Sandy Boulevard will continue to be dispensaries, and that wherever I have to go to shop for my separate but equal pot is going to be somewhere way the hell out of my way, because all the good locations are already taken by most of these medical marijuana dispensaries. I don't know where I'm going to have to go to get my weed, but I know it's going to be a farther bus ride than what I have to take now. I'm pretty sure of that. So what'll happen then? Another thing that might happen, we already heard Senator Ginny Burdick talking about, well, I don't know about the edibles. Don't know if we can sell the edibles. So yeah, what we'll have is we'll have these pot shops, 7 of them on Sandy, that sell cheaper pot and stronger edibles and concentrates and such. And my ghetto red light district recreational shop will be way the hell out there on some bus line, and it'll have less potent stuff, and won't have edibles and all that, right? And so then what happens after that? Me and all the rest of the coloreds currently gaming the OMMP to shop at the current dispensaries will keep doing so. We'll keep our caregiver cards. We'll keep our grower cards. We'll find that friend of ours who's got the cancer diagnosis from 5 years ago that is in no sort of pain anymore, but the cancer, technically qualifies to get the card. We'll get our money together. We'll gather our money together and we'll give it to our medical friend. They'll go to one of those dispensaries on Sandy and buy in bulk the more potent items and the better stuff. And then they'll bring it back to the rest of us recreational users and we'll distribute it for our use. And then they'll see the OMMP patient numbers continuing to rise as people continue to want that incentive, continue to have that incentive to go to the cheaper shops where there's more of those shops that sell better stuff. So the patient numbers will keep going up. The tax revenues they were expecting from the $35 an ounce at the recreational stores won't live up to expectations because people will say, hey, why bother paying this tax when I can just go to the rec shop? So the tax numbers will be too low, the patient numbers will be too high, and those legislators in Salem will go, well, wait a minute. Having these parallel systems has increased the gaming of the medical marijuana system and threatened the viability of the recreational system. So guess what? We need to start restricting that medical marijuana system. If there's going to be 2 separate pot shops and one of them's got the cheap good stuff, we're going to have to make it tougher to get into one of those pot shops, one of those dispensaries. We're going to have to do something about that chronic pain diagnosis. Maybe make sure that there's some etiological proof of that chronic pain. Maybe we need to clamp down on those medical marijuana clinics that are writing out those doctor recommendations. Make sure that they've got a bona fide doctor-patient relationship of at least 6 months, at least 3 visits within 6 months to guarantee that there's a bona fide relationship there. If we keep separate pot shops, they will incentivize gaming of the system. Gaming of the system will incentivize legislators to restrict the program even greater. That's the way I see it.
America's RR7 secret agent of progressive change.
The name's Belville. Russ Belville.
This is the Russ Belville Show.
Goldfinger, he's the man with the Midas touch. A spider's
420 Radio, your ticket to the Boston Freedom Rally. You know Herb Thrasher from the Herb Thrasher Flower Hour. Now get ready for Herb Age Designs for the proud cannabis consumer. Herb Age Designs, lifestyle gear for the 420 friendly. Herb Age Designs, we've got Frisbee golf discs and durable hemp gear. Herb Age Designs, we've got shot glasses, drinking glasses, coffee mugs, and beer cozies. Check us out on Facebook and online at herbagedesigns.com. And follow Herb Age and Herb Thrasher on Twitter.
There's so much I worry about as a mom. Stephen Harper thinks that organized crime should continue to profit from marijuana prohibition. Imagine regulating marijuana like alcohol and cigarettes with a strong and clear educational message, making it more difficult for my kids and your kids to access. Drug dealers don't ask for ID. Stephen Harper does not have the kind of judgment we need to protect our children, authorized by the Normal Women's Alliance of Canada.
When you are starting up a medical cannabis business, you want a fired-up lawyer who understands the needs of cannabis consumers. The law office of Lauren Vasquez is your fired-up lawyer for the cannabis industry. Visit her website, fireduplawyer.com, or call 1-855-MMJ-LAWS for more information. That's 855-665-5297 for Lauren Vasquez, your fired-up lawyer, or email fireduplawyer@gmail.com.
Oh, yeah! That's Lakeisha Benjamin. The tune is entitled Get Down. I don't know if you saw Saturday Night Live this last weekend with Kevin Hart. Oh, a legendary skit. It's the skit I've always wanted to see. I've actually thought of this skit for years and been waiting for someone to do it. They did a skit where Kevin Hart played James Brown, and they were playing Sex Machine, right? And you know how James in Sex Machine says, "I want to count it off. Count it off like a figure. Can I count it? Yeah, give me to the bridge. Take me to the bridge," right? Well, the whole skit was basically James asking the band if they could do things, and then asking each member of the band, and then there being disagreements like, "Can I take it to the bridge? I don't know if I want you to take it to the bridge. Why can't I take it to the bridge?" It's just, if you haven't seen it, get on Hulu or whatever. That one James Brown skit just made my weekend. It was funny as hell. We are talking about President Obama right now and his speech or his talk recently with the YouTube folks. And just let me get the window back up here, and I had paused it because the president was using that language again about, how evil, icky, terrible pot is, that it has to maintain illegality. I give President Obama some props because I think not doing anything was the best card he had to play. I don't think he really gotten away with much more than what he's doing, and that is just let Oregon and California, or Oregon and Washington, Colorado and Alaska, let them be, and then enough money and politics will get involved in it that by the time 2016 rolls around, nobody's going to be able to do anything about it. But I interrupted the president. Let's continue with President Barack Obama.
Presents the possibility, at least, of unequal application of the law, and that has to be changed. Now, the good news is that we're starting to get some interest among Republicans as well as Democrats in reforming the criminal justice system. We've been able to initiate some changes administratively, and last year you had the first time in 40 years where the crime rate and the incarceration rate went down at the same time. I hope we can continue with those trends because there's just a smarter way of dealing with these issues.
All right. Well, we're almost out of time here, but I have brought a little something for you.
What do you got?
I'd like you to sign. So this is a picture of me holding a receipt from my pharmacy.
All right.
I have a chronic condition.
That's a very fetching picture.
Well, thank you. And it's expensive to manage, but before I had insurance, I could not take this medication. It's about $1,100 a month.
Oh, so it's an Obamacare thing. So, all right. Anyway, there's the rest of the president's comments on marijuana, and the link, I think it got posted into our chat room, so you can get that link. Real quick, some other follow-ups here on this issue. The worry I have is that in the face of legalization, and again, I'm not talking about this from the sausage-making perspective of there already exists this regulation and now there exists this other regulatory agency and how do these two and what law has to be written and stuff. Man, that's all going to have to be worked out, I know. And I know that a lot of what I advocate for is maybe politically unrealistic, but I have to advocate from the moral perspective on this. And I feel that there's been plenty of people who have made the moral case for medical marijuana, but so few who have made the moral case for personal marijuana. And that's why I keep coming back to this as being a civil rights issue. And I use the example of the lunch counters and apartheid of all of this, because I think for too long, everybody, at least on the marijuana side of things, has gotten so focused on the patients and what a terrible injustice and tragedy is when somebody, that's really, really sick gets busted for using marijuana, that maybe we've lost track of the fact that it's a terrible, sick injustice when anybody gets busted for marijuana. And for me, I've developed my sense of self as a cannabis consumer in relation to alcohol and tobacco. That's most of where my mindset is on this, right? To me, it's just a violation of equal protection that someone who wishes to get intoxicated, someone who wishes to use a molecule for entertainment purposes, is allowed to do so in this country. If you want to use some methylene molecules to poison your brain, literally, it's toxic. It's intoxication. That's what the word means, poisoning. If you want to use methylene molecules for fun, to alter your mind and perceptions, change your mood, and have a good time, you're allowed to do that. But if you want to use THC molecules, you're not. That's where I come from. I come from this idea that, I grew up around friends and that still are beer drinkers like crazy. They love to drink beer. Oh, let's get a beer. Let's go out and have a beer. Let's go to the place and get a beer. And I don't want a beer. I don't like beer. So I always felt like a second-class citizen. I always felt like I was being oppressed. I was being diminished, demeaned, mistreated by society because I chose the wrong molecule. And to have people, when I get in these arguments with these drug warriors that are like, well, we accept alcohol. There's a cultural acceptance for alcohol. That's why it's different. Even though it kills so many more people and causes so much more mayhem and cost to society, why we have a cultural acceptance. Kind of like we had a cultural acceptance for white people to have special benefits and black people to have different sides of the street and not look at white women and don't step on white men's shadows. Those were culturally accepted as well. So I can't take this second-class citizenship from alcohol and from the perspective of alcohol and tobacco. I sure as hell am not going to take second-class citizenship from the perspective of the fact that I'm too healthy. That I don't need to use marijuana. I just like to use marijuana. Therefore, I should be discriminated against. And the medical marijuana side doesn't see that because for so long, their fight is a life or death fight against the prohibitionists who think that they're just potheads trying to get one over. And I understand that scenario. I understand that feeling too. But that for so long, they've carved this little niche out for themselves of protection and special rights and privileges that they've managed to separate themselves from the rest of us cannabis consumers, and to no longer understand what it feels like to be discriminated against, and in fact, arguing for discrimination against us. Now, I know, like I said, it's probably going to end up where we're going to have both dispensaries and pot shops. We're going to have patients that are supposedly, through altruism and compassion, allowing their excess to be sold at dispensaries so other patients may get some. And we're going to have for-profit business-making large-scale grows to supply for potheads like me. I recognize that's probably what's going to happen. Probably be what's going to happen. And I recognize that when that does happen, there will continue to be, and probably an increase in gaming of the medical marijuana system. That people in the medical marijuana side says, oh, it's so rare, so few and far between. You know, there's some abuse, but not, the vast majority of patients aren't abusing it. And I call bullshit on that. I ran patient meetings for years with Oregon Normal. I know hundreds of card holders. I know very few that my conservative Idaho relatives would consider patients. Now, we could get into that hair splitting of how much patient do you need to be a patient. Well, obviously, someone with cancer or AIDS, multiple sclerosis, Lou Gehrig's disease, obviously a patient. Someone whose back hurts because they had surgery 3 years ago, who just prefers marijuana to acetaminophen, is that someone who should get out of a tax? Is that someone who should have their own special shop? What I see happening is those dispensaries will stay in business and all the patients will be able to shop there. And then these recreational shops will open up and everyone will be able to shop there. So we have a situation where patients will have even more access because not only do they have their existing pot shops, but they also get our pot shops, for lack of a better word. But those of us who are just too darn healthy, why, we just have to do without. No, we won't do without. We'll find our friend with the card. We'll find a way to get a card ourselves, and we'll shop at your pot shops. So if that's the way it's going to be, if that's the way it's going to eventually turn out anyway, why not be proactive about this? Why not conceive regulations now that show how to properly integrate all of this into one system, instead of continuing to propagate this falsehood that there is a difference in marijuana based on the consumer who buys it. Those jars of AK-47 at the dispensary are not medical marijuana. They are not recreational marijuana. They are marijuana. And if we're going to have large-scale commerce in marijuana, then let's have it, and let's have one set of consistent regulations and not set up two competing systems that can only serve to put a black eye on the other system. The medical system will get a black eye from all the recreational users that are abusing it. The recreational system will get a black eye from its lack of tax revenue and end of black market. It's a lose-lose if we do it that way. Oh my goodness. That's all the time we got today. Time flies when you legalize. Make sure you join us tomorrow. We have got a great show coming up for you tomorrow. Steve Owens from Adherence, Colorado will be joining us. One of those agencies helping to get people in compliance. Maybe I can ask him about medical and recreational coexisting, where they've got the separate entrances and everything. Oh, it's going to be a long, long, long time before we finally untangle this web of segregation that we put upon ourselves when we separated out some pot smokers for protection because it was politically expedient in the 90s. That's all the time we got. I'm Radical Russ. Until next time, take care of each other, tokers.
This is the Russ Belville Show. The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at radicalruss.com.
You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it,